Today, we're going to become comic book authors?
Starting lesson in 3, 2, 1. Okay, here's the deal.
Let's learn!
In the year 20XX, a pandemic spread across the land. But when educational doors closed and communities practiced social distancing, CFI 70's language and literature teacher was still up for the challenge. Join Mr. Strother and his amazing Quaranteam!
Read alouds, news articles, comic books, writing activities, greyhounds, kids who don't even go here, flavored water, dad jokes.
You are now joining Mr. Strother's Quaranteam.
Welcome back, ballers and scholars, to week 7, day 3. That means writing activity. Now these are some of my favorite dynamic duos. No, not Batman and Robin, not Spider-Man and Mary Jane, or Superman and Lois, or Green Lantern and his ring. I don't really read a lot of Green Lantern, I don't know. No, I'm talking about writers and artists like Stan Lee and Jack Kirby, Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo, Bendis and Bagley. Today is an exploration in writing comic books, and frankly, it's not going to be easy. So you have a job to do, and it's in 4 parts: reflect, explore, create, and share. Now, if you tuned into week 7, day 1 earlier this week, we listened to the audio comic book Unseen, a comic book written by a blind creator for a blind and sighted audience. And that should be a big help. What details were important? What parts helped you visualize it in your brain? So that's number 1, reflect. Reflect on the unseen comic book you experienced earlier this week. Part 2 is explore. I have 4 comic books posted on Clever for you to check out. Each one is an example of a real life script an author sent to the artist on the comic book as they worked on it. But before we dive into that, we need to know a few key terms. The first one is copy. No, it's not copy and paste or Roger, copy that. Copy is another nickname for writing or words. It's an old newspaper term that stuck around. So you might hear it as like, I need copy for this evening's paper. Give me 500 words of copy. Or no copy. I don't want anyone to talk in this part. They should be silent. Got it? No copy. So copy just means words. The next key term is panel. A panel in a comic book is one part of a comic book page. Typically, a comic book page is made up of individual panels that, when put together, tell a story in sequential order, so from beginning to end. So you'll notice in each of these examples, they're defined by what their writer thinks should be shown in the panel. Even artists who write their own work tend to start with panels, so it's super important. If you don't break it down into panels, you don't have a comic book, you just have a story. But we need to break it down into pieces, like a scene in a movie. If a comic book were a movie, the comic panel would be the most important part of the scenery to convey the most visual information. So a panel is like a storyboard or a picture. It's that piece of the page. It's just one chunk that makes up the whole page. Text in the form of word balloons and narration are used to complete the tale. But for us, we're just writing the script today. We still have to make sure those panels are clear though. Now comics can be just one panel, and that's our last key term, splash page. Usually the very beginning or a climactic moment closer to the end, but in our example, it's going to be on page 3. 3 to 9 panels make up most pages, but a splash is just one big fella. So let's break it down and look at our examples. You need to choose one or more of these examples to explore. I'm going to highlight one quick thought about each one. The first example is Green Lantern issue 1. Unique to this example is the first page. It's filled with images for the artist to use as inspiration. So you can click those links and explore them. It seems pretty helpful. Maybe it'll help you visualize the author's words. Maybe you could do the same thing on yours. The second one is Nightwing Issue 75, written by Devin Grayson. A note at the beginning is used to explain a shifting narrative or point of view. Pretty cool. I bet the author chose this because this is a special issue. Number 75, like 50 or 100 or even number 1, is a kind of special occasion, and this issue is a great look back at Nightwing's beginnings. If you didn't know, Nightwing is Batman's first Robin, who grew up and became his own hero. He's pretty rad. Our third example is Adam Nave's The Once and Future Queen, issue 1. This comic is a modern day retelling of King Arthur of the Knights of the Round Table fame, but with young adults your age. Interestingly, in this first page, the author gives specific notes about lighting to elicit a certain mood. And our last example is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Universe issue number 1. Unique to this story is the way the author outlines the way the feeling of the book is. He describes the first half as really lighthearted and full of jokes, and then something horrific happens, and the rest of the book remains very serious as they attempt to survive. Yikes. I also like how he has character notes. So part 3 is create. So after you explore those books, you need to make your own. So if you want to pause the video here, you totally can. Great. So pick one of those comic strips that you explored, keep it in the back of your mind. How did they make it clear in dialogue the emotions that were felt? Were they describing thoughts and feelings to the artist? Maybe you would benefit by emulating or copying their style. So keep looking back to those examples as you write your own work. If you don't like that person's style, try one of the other 3 examples. The website comicsexperience.com made a great template for us to use. Each part of this template for writing our own script appears to be filled in, but it's actually just an explanation of content. Your assignment is to use this template, and I've linked it down in the description below and on clever.com, and please do not deviate. I understand some of us think, I got this, I'll just go ahead and do it. Please don't do that. Use this template so I know exactly what to look for. I'll briefly go over parts of the template, but it's all there for you and it's all filled in. It says title in caps. So put your title there in caps. When it says character notes or art notes, just like in the examples you explored, simply just replace the names of the characters and fill in your own notes. When it says Jane and Tom, create 2 characters of your own or use 2 existing characters that you already like. You're not just limited to superheroes either. Sure, you could write a comic that has superheroes, but there are so many great comic books available right now based on television shows like Riverdale from the Archie universe, and all kinds of topics like in Telga Meyer's popular graphic novels Smiles, Sisters, and Ghost. Anyway, just fill it in with your own content. Don't steal this generic work. I can read it a mile away. It's plagiarism. Don't do that. Just put your own stuff in there. If you think I'm going to judge you on how good it is, I'm not. I'm just going to make sure you tried. I want you to experiment with this. Anyway, keep in mind the examples. Flip back and forth to your own work and the examples. If we were in the classroom, I would encourage you to do the exact same thing. I would show you a comic book, and then I'd have you work on your comic book. I would show you the script and have you work on the script. So make sure you didn't just leave it in the past and then move on. You need that work so you can emulate the things that they do so well. Now the second page of your template breaks it down into 3 panels. So simply replace the dialogue with your own creative narrative between your 2 characters. Last but not least, the 3rd page is a splash page. Remember, this is one giant panel, so how can you really effectively have your characters interact? If you're feeling a little burnt out, step back, take a break. But when you finish the whole template, part 4 is share. Share the results of your hard work by attaching your document to ManageBack. You can share it with a friend, you can share it with family members, but you definitely need to share it with me, not my email. I say this every week. I still get emails every week. I don't know. So share it on ManageBack. Please drop it in ManageBack so I can give you credit. All of your assignment submissions up to this point should be on ManageBack. If they're not, go back and drop them in there, big baller. That way I don't miss it and I have proof that you were highly engaged. All I ask is that when you become a world-renowned comic book author, that you send me some free books. For future students, of course. So let's review. 1. Reflect. What did unseen do? 2. Explore. Pick at least one of 4 of those examples and then use it to study. 3. Create. Use the template, make your own, and then use examples for guidance along the way. 4. Share with me on ManageBack, then with friends and family. Oh, and step 5. As always, have a great day. Post-credit stinger. Bonus content. Some of you really liked the podcast that I linked last week about space and cosmic queries. So if you were interested in that, check out this particular episode I'm going to link at the very bottom of the description. And it's an episode of Cosmic Queries all about superheroes and how their powers could be explained by science, including Thor's hammer, Superman's strength, and so much more. Even Superman's farts and using heat vision to turn it into a giant flamethrower. That's true. It's really in there.